Hi everyone, my name is Lei Lu and I'm a data analytics consultant at the Information Lab US. Thank you for the feedback from the previous challenge and continue to the series of DataDevQuest challenge. I will walk through the solution of the DataDevQuest challenge in July. I'm going to share my screen. Before going to the challenge, I would say thank you to Jordan Woods, who is the creator of this challenge for the Data Dev Quest in July. And the topic the topic for last month challenge is about the Tableau Metadata API. The solution for DataDevQuest 2025 in July on my GitHub page that you can get it from the link. So I posted on the solution with my Python script and also with some explanation in the README file. I also share the output, the screenshot of the output. And at the bottom, you can see on the instruction to guide you how to run the program. Okay, let's go back to the challenge. As usual, we have two challenges, one for beginner and the other for intermediate. And the topic for the last month related to Tableau Metadata API. Before going to this challenge, let's see what is metadata API is. So metadata API use the GraphQL to query the metadata from Tableau Cloud or server. Um, you can also use the REST API to query the metadata. But for REST API, there are many endpoints. So for example, like this, we have the REST API. So every time you would like to query the data source, database, or the metadata, you need to send a request to a different endpoint. But for metadata API, you only need one endpoint, and you can write multiple queries into one query, one GraphQL queries. Um, to understand what the data metadata is, you can go to Tableau Metadata API documentation. Um, so we have some Tableau content that we usually query. Uh, for example, we would like to query the data sources, workbook, sheets, dashboards, fields, some parents objects like published data sources, the virtual connection, flow, size, projects, users, and from these parents, we also have some child objects. Like you can query how many columns in the data sources, the fields or the formulas in the data sources. There are also some relationship between the parent and child that you can see in these tables here. But I will go through more details on when we write the query. For the beginner challenge, you can follow on the instruction from the page. You log in into Tableau Cloud or server, go to external asset, uh, and click on query metadata for GraphQL, and then uh, a new window will open for you to write the GraphQL queries. For the first challenge, we need to write a query that get the details of a workbook that you choose, and we need to get the IDs, owner IDs the name of the projects that connect to the workbook and extract it if you apply the filters. Um, so if you follow on the instruction, you will get the GraphQL query like this. I already write the query here, so I call that workbook query. You see here I have the parent object is called workbooks, and in this objects I have ID. So I would like to get the ID of the workbooks, name, project name, the owners of these workbooks, with ID of the owner and the name of the owner like this. If you would like to see um, all the objects in the workbooks, you can search in the schema here. So if I type workbooks and enter, you will see query workbooks. Click on this. Um, So you will see the workbook filters. These are some arguments that we usually put that in the parentheses here. That is the argument. So you can use the filter here. So if you would like to see which filter that you can use in the workbook, click on that. So you can use filter with LUID name here, or ID or project name. So in this case, I use the filter with the name is Superstore. And to get on the objects in the workbook, you can click on here. So I would like to get on the ID and name of the workbooks. So there are some fields that you can put in side the workbook. So I would like to get ID, name, project's name it's in here, and the owners who are this workbook. So um I put on the field in here, and as you can see there are many queries in the left panel, but I only want to run this query. You can um, put the mouse in here and then press Control and Enter. It will, or you can click on the play button here and then choose the um, query name that you would like to run. Um, and here's at the middle windows that show the response, because I use the filter for the name Superstore, so it's only show me the workbook with the name Superstore. If I delete this filters and then run it, it will show on the workbooks that I have in my Tableau cloud. Okay, I'm going back. In the Python script, I write for the beginner challenge. I write two GraphQL queries. In the first function, I call it get workbook list. So I would like to get all the ID and name of the workbooks. Um, and then I use it with TSC, Tableau Server Client. Um, After that, I extract the data after querying with the workbooks here, and also handle the error if no workbooks found. If no workbook found, it will return the empty data frame. And then after that, I flatten the data and store the data back into the pandas data frame. In the second function, I call it string workbook details. So after I got the data from this function, I got the ID of the workbooks and the name. I will let the users to choose which workbook they would like to explore or get more details. So I will pass the workbook ID back to this function, and then I put it in the filter here to filter the workbook with the ID. I also do the same steps in get workbook list function. So after query, I extract the data, flatten JSON data into the pandas data frame, rename the columns, and then return the data frame. In the main function, I call this function get workbook list, and from here I can get the list of the workbook in the variable WBDF. So I iterate to that data frame and then show a list of the workbooks. From the list of the workbook, I will show a form to ask the users which workbook they would like to explore more, and then they can choose the number of the workbooks on the screen. After they choose that, I will catch the workbook ID, and then I will pass that workbook ID back to the ring workbook details, and from here I can output the value on the screen. I can run the program here. So if you clone the GitHub rep CD to this folder and then type Python with the name DDQ 202507 for beginner, and then press enter. And then it will show me how many workbooks on my site. So there's only 4 workbooks, and you can choose the workbook that you would like to explore. For example, I press 1 and enter. So it show me the workbook that I selected is Superstore with the workbook ID here. For the workbook detail, it show me the project's name that the workbook's in, and the owner ID of this workbook, and also the owner name. Intermediate challenge. We can do more with variables to filter the data, and we can pass the variables into uh, the argument in the objects. So the challenge, as you can see here, um, we have the query variables. So we can put the query variables here and then pass the name of the variables workbook name into um, the filter here for workbook name type string, and then type workbook filter here. The challenge here is write a query that retrieve the details of a workbook by your choosing the workbook and the ID on the name of the projects it is in. Uh, for the question, do you have a problem you have previously solved with the REST API, but it takes multiple queries, as I just mentioned from the beginning? Um, for REST API, you have to send many requests to different endpoints to get to queries the data you want. But in Metadata API, you only need to write one queries, or you can combine multiple queries into one to show to get the data you want. For the extra challenge, it was suggested by Kristen that we need to get the list of published data source and the connected workbooks that connect to these published data sources. So I combined everything, the challenge and the extra challenge into one file for intermediate. Let me go back to the GitHub. Um, so for this, um, I write 3 queries totals. For the first query, it's called list workbooks and publish data source query. So I would like to return um, all the workbooks on my Tableau Cloud site with the ID name and the publish data source with LUID, the name of the published data source. From all these details, I will let the user to choose two options. The first option is choose a workbook name from here to filter this data. If they choose the first option, it will return the workbook's details like ID, name, project name, owner, and also the published data source that connect to that workbook with the LUID of this published data source and the name of the published data source. For the option two, if they choose published data sources, so it will get the name of the published data source and then filter into this query, um, and it will return the details of the published data source like LUID, name, and the workbooks that connected to that published data source with the ID, name, project name, owners, uh, with owner ID and the name. So I will go to the Python script that I write for intermediate. Um, so you also need to add all this library, pandas, Tableau server client, JSON, credential that you will put the personal access token, your server address. For example, in my site, I use 10AX Tableau Cloud. My site ID, that is my name. Um, and I write three function totals for the first function, as I just mentioned in the GitHub. I need to get on the list of the workbooks and the published data source. So this is my query. Um, I combine this query, the workbooks in here and the published data sources in here. Um, so that is one benefit of using metadata API that you can combine multiple queries into just one query. Not like REST API, you have to split all this because if you would like to get this data, you have to send the request to one endpoint and this one for another endpoint. So after I query the data, I will store the workbooks in one variables and the published data source in one variables, handle the errors or if not found the workbooks or published data source. After that, flatten the data, store the data back to the pandas data frame. For the second function, that bring the workbook details. If the user choose option one, it will run this function. For this function, I pass the um, variables called uh, uh, workbook name into the filters with the workbooks ID, name, project name with the owner's ID, name, and the published data source that connected to these workbooks. Um, After that, I will put variables in here for the queries with the workbook name to query the data, and after that, flatten the data and store back to the workbook list. Um, And because I use the filter for workbook name in here, so I only get the first row and store it into the workbook WB variables. So from here, I can get on the ID, name, project name, owner ID, and the name. And for upstream data sources, which is the published data source, I initialize an empty array. So from here, if there's no so if the workbook haven't connected to any published data source, it will return an empty list or empty data frame. If it's include the data, I initialize empty list and then append the LUID and the name of the published data source into this empty empty list. For the third function, it bring the published data source details. So I will pass the published data source name into the argument from here. Uh, do the same for authorize the infos. Um, and I got the query. So instead of passing the query for the workbook name, same as the function above, I will pass the published data source name into the filters for string here with and I got on the field for LUID name the workbooks that connected to this published data sources with ID name, project name, and owner ID and name. Do the same for above function. I will pass the selected workbooks, selected published data source name, and then pass it into these variables, flatten the data, um, and then store it to variables. Because I already filtered the published data source name here, so I really extract the first row and store it into the DS. Bring the published data source UID and the name. Um, uh, Same as the function above, I will initialize an empty string if cannot found uh, any workbooks that connected to the published data source. Um, do the same for here. I will extract all the data and store it into this list, and finally return the data frame for the workbook. In the main function, I will call this get workbooks and publish data source list, and then store the workbooks and publish data source data frame into two separate variables. Handle the errors, and then from here, I will let the user to choose three options. Option one, if they would like to explore um, if they would like to explore the workbooks, they will select the workbooks they want and then get all the details of the workbooks and also the published data sources that connect to that workbook. Option two, they will select one published data source name and then explore this published data source and also get the detail of the workbooks that connected to these data sources. Option three, exit the program. Um, okay, and this is the prompt to let the user to choose the option. And for this option one, it will call this function to get the workbook details. And also, if it's not empty, it will output the published data source that connected to this workbook. For option two, it do the same, but in opposite way. So it bring on the list of the published data source here, and then let the user to choose one published data source they want to explore. Pass the public data source name into bring published data source details. And if it's not empty, it will bring the list of the workbooks. Uh, yeah, and that is on the script. So if you type Python, then for intermediate challenge script. So for example, I would like to view detail of the specific workbook. So I choose option one, and then I would like to explore workbook number three. So it will show me the details of the workbook with workbook ID, workbook name, project name, owner ID, and owner name. and it will also show me all the published data sources that connected to this workbook named Admin Insight Starter. So there are 5 workbooks that connected. Oh, I'm sorry, 5 published data sources that connect to that workbook. Okay, now if I choose option 2, it will show me all the published data sources here. So I have 12 published data sources. For example, if I would like to choose published data sources number 6, so it will show me published data source LUID, the name of the published data source, and the workbooks that connected to these published data sources. And if type 3 to exit the program. Yeah, and that is the solution for intermediate challenge. The GitHub page, I write in details how I write 3 queries that you can follow. And that is on the solution for the beginner and intermediate challenge for DataDevQuest in July. If you have any questions or feedbacks, just feel free to comment on LinkedIn or YouTube. Thank you for watching and hope to see you again in the next challenge.